Yeah, like this is a topic, right? I think we've spent years as marketers believing that we can track certain things and that we've trained our bosses to create our bonus and incentive structures on certain things that used to be trackable that today aren't. And I feel that we've got to have a really serious deep dive dialogue around what does it mean to be tracking success in this future state. And like, let's be honest with each other here. It is pretty hard out here for us as marketers right now. We are seeing budgets. Many of us are seeing budget cuts, right? We're seeing less headcount. It's funny, you lose a person on your team, you don't get that role filled instantly anymore, do you? So it's a hard time. We're hearing that, well, shouldn't AI be able to do all these things? And speaking of AI, I'm using it, so are our customers using it? And we're getting all these questions at a time where our KPIs and how we judge success are trapped in the, I don't want to say the 90s, but kind of like the 90s. All right, so let's think about where we are. We kind of came into this world. You had search engines, you have social media, you have email, you've got AI search as the new thing, and like you have a web analytics tool. So you have all of these things in place, and every one of them allowed you to track that customer and understand the efficacy of your marketing. Well, that's changing, my friends. If you think about it, SEO people are like, yeah, 13 years ago, we got not provided. They started taking keywords away from us. And I think too often we think of keywords as something to rank for. I see keywords as an ability for me to better understand the customer and how they decide, or how they describe rather, their problems in their own voice. So whether it's not provided, or now we've got these answer boxes. So you have zero-click marketing. You've got social. Now company accounts don't drive any traffic anymore. They're basically dead. You've got dark social, which means you can't really track it the way you used to, although I'm going to show you some things that'll let you bring that back a little bit. You've got zero click on social, meaning that these sites do not want to send people to your site. They want to have everything done on their own site. So they penalize you for linking out to your own site, which means you now don't get that data. And then in the web analytics world, I just got a little bit of a fight with one of our internal web analytics people. I'm like, guys, let's be honest. All of this attribution conversation we're having, how are we managing the fact that after 7 days on an Apple device, cookies are typically deleted? Things like that, especially for us in B2B. It usually takes people a little bit more than 7 days to get an answer. And now you think, okay, so if I start paying for keywords, at least I get those. If I'm paying for certain things, and I'm telling you, my friends, Performance Max takes away your keywords. So even on the paid side, even when you're paying, Google goes, our AI will help to manage all that for you. Performance Max also takes away your search terms. Facebook Advantage on social takes away the granularity, and the AI is here just to make sure you hit your goals. You tell me how much you want to spend for a customer, we'll make sure you hit it. But all of those things in the middle were how you understood your customer better. Email with MPP, you don't get all the same data and statistics back that you used to. In AI search, we're going to talk a lot about that today. There's no webmaster tools for Google Gemini or ChatGPT, so you're flying blind. And then, like I said before, with the web analytics thing, you got ITP deleting cookies after 7 days on Apple devices. A lot of people use Apple devices. That traffic is different. So there was this promise that we kind of had that we were going to have all this data. And think about it. A lot of us as marketers have kind of made our name on data driven, and I got the data and it's like today, I don't know. Actually, dare I say, it never freaking happened, right? So like all these marketing platforms are like, we got you, right? We smushed you. You're the bug that we don't want. We're not going to give you the data that you used to have anymore. And we're going to tell you, just trust us. Let the AI manage all these things for you. And as long as it comes in at the right cost, you're good, right? Well, today is going to be a little bit of a resurgence, right? We're like the cockroaches. Like this is a presentation for cockroaches. And what I mean is it's the people that are like, no matter how much data they try to take away, we are excited and we see a competitive moat and a competitive win when the people we compete with assume that the things they're being told aren't trackable anymore, because today I'm going to show you how to track a bunch of them. Even though a lot of people will say, nah, you can't track it. And just to put a little bee in their bonnet, I'm like, I love these freaking cockroach images. I swear they're spread throughout my presentation, so hopefully it won't frustrate you too much. I'm like, we're going to lick on their toothbrushes too, damn it. All right, so I have been getting data that companies don't want me to get since 1999. Since the time I came in this industry, I've always kind of had a little bit of a broader perspective. And I said, well, why don't I have this data or that data? And if that data exists somewhere and that data exists somewhere, then why don't we bring all that stuff together? I've been at this for 13 years of just trying to answer this question for my clients. Isn't it interesting that we have done search marketing for years and clients will say, hey, Will, when I show up in PPC, what about my organic and vice versa? There is still no tool. I've been talking about how we combine this data for 10 or 12 years now. There is still no tool that will combine your paid and organic data the way that we explain how to do it, so you can answer these kinds of questions better. So think about the phrase Black primary care physician. And I've been showing this for years, and nobody's fixing any of the ads that you see. So now I want you to stop as a marketer. We can't always just be data-driven and checklists. Use your brain. What do you think the right landing page would be for a phrase like this? And then let me show you all the people that I clicked on in paid search and their valuations. Now, here's One Medical's landing page. Does that connect with Black primary care physician? Doesn't look like it to me. Forward, no doctor, definitely not a Black one there. Here we have ZocDoc. We have some people. We have speak Spanish there, but we don't have an acknowledgement of why would somebody type in Black and primary care physician. There's things that they want that person to know about their culture, yada, yada, yada. None of that's here. And I don't necessarily see 3 Black doctors on this page. And then Oak Street Health, at one point valued at $10 billion. There were white and Black doctors on this page, and they're paying for these clicks, right? They're paying for clicks. It's so frustrating. Why pay for clicks where customers aren't getting their answers? But then this happens everywhere. So that's a medical example. Now let's take B2B branded search. And this is why, my friends, when you just trust Performance Max, this kind of stuff is taking out money out of your budget. So if you type in Monday and the word app, guess what people want? The app for your phone, these things. I want the app for my phone. So why would Monday, for a phrase that definitely says I want the app, send me to a page that doesn't talk about the app at all and is like, you should click on this ad because we are the most loved work platform. Now let's say I agree with you. I love this platform, but where can I get the app? How do you know that? You take the paid search and the organic search and combine them, and you would find out that there's a bunch of app stores listed: Microsoft, Android, Apple. So when you see the app store listed in the organic side, why wouldn't you combine that with your paid data to find out where you're making mistakes like these that I've been showing? This mistake I'm going to show you is a $1.5 million problem. So we have a client in the banking space. One day we're doing our analyses of combining PPC and SEO data, and we go, what's up with this Tarjetas de Credito showing up? Literally, the client had an ad in English for a Spanish phrase, and Google said, trust us. We know how to match ads to what people want. So how is it that all of the ads are in English for somebody that typed in Spanish? Because Google makes money on that, right? Right? But yet Bank of America here is paying for a click in English when they also have the #1 ranking with a Spanish language page. And these are the kind of problems that Seer has been tackling for years. Google just came out a month ago saying, hey, we're going to stop placing your ads on park domains because we realize that they're garbage and they drain people's accounts. Well, we took paid and organic data, combined them 6 years ago, and said every single site that we saw in our placement reports were garbage. So now that you've gotten a little bit of history on how I look at combining data and getting data that they don't want you to get, Google doesn't want me to combine my PPC and SEO data because I can find instances like that. And that's how they make a lot of their money. So today what we're going to do is we're going to roll up our sleeves and do some real work here. So you're going to have a little faith, right? You're going to have faith. I'm sorry, marketers. I'm sorry. I know that you've been told that you can get the data all the time, and with the data, you can always make the right decisions, and you can do predictive analytics and all that. I'm telling you, with all the holes in data that we have, with that big chart I showed you where all this data is being taken away from us, and everybody's saying, just leave all your money in our platform, you're going to have to start to use your brains and have a little bit of faith in your ability to understand customers as a marketer. You just can't put a bunch of numbers into a spreadsheet anymore and have it tell you what to do. So clicks, we usually track clicks. Clicks are good to track for a lot of different reasons. But now that Google's got those AI overview answers, it's affecting things. So we did a study that basically showed, we stopped the study in January, so we got to update it. But what you're seeing is organic click-through rates. When AIOs are not shown, so when they don't show those, they're starting to bump up a little bit. But look at what happens when the organic click-through rate, when they're shown. We went from 0.124 across all of our clients % of click-through rate in April. And then by January, we were cut in half. So you should be expecting less traffic. And traffic is not just the vanity metric. It's also a hint for smart marketers to go, ooh, when I get traffic to a page that tells me something about the customer, well, you're starting to lose out on that data. And you can see the same thing is happening in paid as well. So the first data set you're going to have to get used to working in is your CRM data. Because here's my SEO traffic. It's cut 43% from my own website. But as long as I look in my CRM, I can see that we're still getting a ton of leads. So our leads aren't down 40%. They're actually flat year over year. And I'm looking at my revenue, and that number's actually up. You're going to have to start to overlay your old metrics that used to be a good leading indicator for your business against your revenue and your lead flow. You're going to have to do that, my friends. When you're early in your journey, so I'm going to start off kind of easy and I'm going to get more complex. This presentation has a potential to get a little bit complex, but I think it's worth it because any of us that can figure this out, I'm sharing everything with you. We're going to start to build a moat relative to our competitors. So I have a client in the banking space and they're going, we think that, or we had a hypothesis that the digital-only banks attract people that are more likely to use ChatGPT, which would mean if you're a Wells Fargo and you're not a digital-only bank and you have branches, maybe how you show up in ChatGPT isn't as critical because maybe your audience isn't there as much as another type of bank that is more AI or more online native. So SparkToro helps you to see these kinds of things. So I took some bank that was an online only bank, Genius Bank, and you can see that what this shows you is that the average US affinity for ChatGPT is 30. The rank is 30 out of 100 sites. For this online bank, it's ranked at 98 in terms of affinity. So you see a huge affinity change for the online only bank. And then if you say, well, how does that line up if I am Wells Fargo? Well, you can see that their affinity for the average Wells Fargo person that visits Wells Fargo's website, their ChatGPT affinity is lower than the one for Genius Bank. And you can see that their change is lower because they have a broader audience set. So now I'm validating that hypothesis. I will tell you, my friends, SparkToro is a great tool. Now, I started off talking about all the places where our customers may be, but how we don't get any data from that, or so people tell us we don't get data from those. So I put in my own website. You can see that when we look at SparkToro and look at all the different social networks, LinkedIn is the one that is growing a ton. I also was surprised to see GitHub there. But so this is people who visit my website are also more likely than the average to visit LinkedIn. They also are more likely than the average to use WhatsApp, Slack, Telegram, and SlideShare. So now what you're thinking of is, Will, let's go back a slide. LinkedIn, dark social. What does that mean? You go, WhatsApp. I can't track WhatsApp. Slack, you're like, hey, Will, if I go into Google Analytics and I look for Slack as a referral source, I don't see that. I don't see Telegram. I don't see these things. And I'm here to tell you that we're going to help all of you get that data today. And it's critically important because while Google is losing market share, while Bing has not been able to grow its market share for 15 freaking years, guess who is? LinkedIn is, Reddit is, your customers are in these places. WhatsApp is growing like crazy, especially in the United States. I bet many of you, if I were to say, do you have a professional group of people that are on a WhatsApp group? Some of you are like, yeah. Now, how many of you said yeah to that 4 years ago? 3 years ago, 2 years ago, not nearly as many. Facebook groups are growing. And other marketers are being told, oh, you can't track these things because Google won't, or Apple won't, or LinkedIn won't, or Slack won't. And I'm here to tell you that that's not true. So let's go find out how to get it. Slack, for a lot of us in B2B, it's huge. Inside of Google Analytics, you will think, oh, I can't find Slack if I search for Slack. That's because you're searching for the wrong thing. So it's very easy to find a Slack group. The way you do it is you go into a very popular Slack group in your community. You can do it in your profile, just anywhere. Put a tracking link on your profile. Click it, go over to your website, and then remove the tracking link. And then you get that the session source is now the community on Slack. It no longer just shows up, because before you wouldn't have known to search for that. That's how you find your Slack groups. I have found this for several Slack groups where they are sending my company traffic. And remember, to me, I'll take a click from a Slack group valued 10 times more than a click from Google. Why? Because that means somebody, person to person, which we're going to talk about in a bit later, is talking about my company and driving traffic as a recommendation. Hopefully it's a recommendation versus a, these guys suck, here's a link to them. So then you start to look at data from places also like Microsoft Teams. So I had, in January of 2024, I had 159 visits from Microsoft Teams. For me, as a company that sells to B2B companies, oftentimes in the enterprise or enterprise level companies, it's huge to see that not only the time that people are spending coming from Teams has grown by a factor of 4x, 4.5x, but also I've grown by almost 5x in the traffic coming from Microsoft Teams. If you're in B2B, my friends, please do me a favor and start tracking Microsoft Teams. It'll get you a feel on like, where are people talking about me person to person inside of enterprise companies? Now, what I also am going to show you is I'm now looking at my Google Analytics through the lens of give me all of my URLs and how much organic search traffic am I getting, overlay that against my organic social traffic, and then overlay those URLs against my AI traffic. And I'm going to explain to you why this is really important. So when you do this, let me go back one, sorry. The first thing you get to do is start to predict, ooh, where's my traffic going to maybe diminish in an AI world? So see this, how to create and submit an XML sitemap, the first yellow highlight, 18,000 visits, 5 from social. So what does that tell me? It's not the kind of content that people share with other people, okay? And also look at how many sessions I'm getting on that how to fix the HTTP not secure error. 6,000 visits from search, 2 from AI. What does that mean? It means that as more people ask questions around how to fix that error, the AI bots or the AI chat sites basically are like, we don't need to send people to your website, which means as more people use AI, that blog post ain't gonna get any traffic in the future because the question is answerable without sending you to my website. These are the realities that we're facing. On the flip side, my friends, when I see something like this Insight CTR AIO, which is our click-through rate survey study I just showed you, 800 sessions from search, 2,000 from social. This is what I love. I love looking at this report and sorting by social. Why? Because social only gets traffic when a human shares with another human that this content is worthwhile. And that means they came from LinkedIn, they came from hopefully the traffic I can get from places like Twitter, Blue Sky, etc. I love when a human shares with another human. That's my Microsoft Teams traffic is in there. This is the stuff where you know that your content is winning over real humans. So something people might be saying is, and please, my friends, agents, I'm a fan of, but the hype is just so high right now. So don't be worried too much about, oh my God, are the agents going to be hitting my site and making decisions? Yes, they might be, but don't listen to freaking talking heads like me. Instead, what you want to do is you want to use a tool like Cloudflare, and this is some technical stuff. I told y'all we were going to get deep. We're going to get deep. If you have Cloudflare, you can start to see things where like, hey, are people sharing things in WhatsApp? Well, if you ever share a link in WhatsApp, it's got to prefetch the image to put in the person's chat thread. That is a bot that does that process. That's how you can find out whether or not people are sharing your content on WhatsApp. Also, we just wrote a blog post just a few days ago. We actually are finding out how to uncover whether or not an agent is hitting your site versus a human. because now you're just going to see traffic's going up, but you don't know whether it's an agent or not. So if you've got Cloudflare, they've got reports to help you with that. A company called Check, they also have a way of telling you it's there in our blog post. They've got a way of telling you, hey, here's how you can tell whether or not agents are hitting your site. And something to keep in mind, if you're in Google Analytics 4 and you start to see a little bit of an uptrend in traffic from Bing organic, shocker, OpenAI, when they send traffic to your site through things I think like deep research and operator, it comes through as Bing organic. So don't think that a spike in Bing organic means you're doing better in search. And it's not a spike because it's early. People are not using agents to do all their research. But I would be tracking the trend of that over time just so I can see, is it starting to take off even a little bit? They're telling you can't track bots or agents hitting your site. Yes, you can. We just showed you how. This is how we create a moat against those other marketers that aren't in this chat. All right. So the other thing is, hey, when people go to Reddit, does that impact my conversion rate? Do people read things on Reddit or Quora, and then does that change how they convert? For a lot of people, they're going, you can't get Reddit's traffic and see if that influences your click-through rate. Yes, you can. I write basic things in my natural language like this, and I have SQL queries spit out into a data set that I get from Datos that literally lets me look at millions and millions of people in the United States. And it's not the cheapest data set. And I can't put out all their pricing, but you can get a slice of their data set for you or for your site or for your competitors. And you can literally, my friends, go through and start to mine that data for certain trends around, hey, when people visit Reddit and then visit my website, are they more or less likely to convert than when they go to Reddit? Maybe it's a certain Reddit thread that you think is, ooh, or a set of Reddit threads that don't maybe talk about your company in the best light. Every marketer goes, how would I know if people are seeing that Reddit thread and then how that affects my conversions? Now you got it, guys. Now, their data can be a little bit thin at times. So you got to be careful how you slice it. But I'm more than willing to take any questions about that in the Q&A. All right. So we live off of crumbs. If they're only going to leave us crumbs to make our marketing decisions, we on this call are the people who embrace eating those crumbs. All right. So now you've got ChatGPT. Will, people are all on ChatGPT. How do I track it? This is the way that we do it in our tool. So we basically break down themes for a client. So this is a auto manufacturing client that we have. And there's different themes. People care about performance, luxury, safety, fuel efficiency, etc. And we take those themes and we take thousands of questions and put them into our Gen AI tracker. And then we have some that fall into these different quadrants, and we build strategies based off of, hey, you know what? For design, a lot of people care about that. There's a lot of questions about it, but our share of voice is really low. What are we going to do about that? How are we going to improve that perception in the market? The other thing that we've got to be really careful of is we're watching that with clients who have high coverage in AIO. So where you have a ton of different, we have to blur out the names, so we're just giving you the industry. But we took the AIO keyword coverage. So where is Google showing AI overviews? And we've got a bunch of clients listed there, top 10 clients. What percentage of their keywords trigger AI overviews on Google? Then we can see, well, which of those clients have it actually impact their conversions? And only 2 of the top 10 had an impact. So that means 8 of the top 10 on the left side don't even show up in the top 10 conversion impact on the right side. So they might be showing these AIOs, but are they even showing them on keywords that convert for you? That's the more important thing. Don't fall for the trap of Google showing a bunch of AIOs and I'm in business services here in number 2 at 29%. We're like, yeah, but it's not for any of your converting queries, so who really cares? You're still going to get that revenue we talked about in the first few slides. This is also going to get a little nerdy. There is a blog post on the Washington Post that lets you search for your website and how many tokens were used to deploy against your website to train some of the earliest AI models, the very, very early ones, through something called the Common Crawl. My friends, the Common Crawl is free. So we live in an AI world. So now you can just type this stuff into AI and be like, write me code to interface with the Common Crawl's API so that I can see if they're crawling my website more or less than my competitors. Because if they're crawling it more, and they're deploying more tokens, that means that your competitor might have a little bit more sway in how the industry's talked about than you do. Don't know how to optimize that just yet, but like these are the data points I want to get to know. If you pull down your paid search terms, we did an analysis across all of our clients. What percentage of your search terms start with the word I over the last 12 months? And we're looking for the clients specifically where people are starting to type in the word I'm trying to do. I would like to know. You know why? Because we have a hypothesis. And the hypothesis is that when people type in the word I, they do a lot more AI type searches, because that's how I talk to the AI when I'm searching. I don't just type in CRM, small business. I go, I am a digital agency and I am doing yada, yada, yada. And we believe that it's starting to spill over in how people search, which leaves us a clue. And then we can compare that to whether or not words that contain I or what or how or whatever, are they words that are likely to convert? And we do these analyses across all of our clients so we can catch. I don't want to fall for the hype too fast. I got to make sure that your customers are actually moving in this direction before I go telling you that you really need to pivot your strategies. All right, another thing about AI as a search engine. If you do not have how did you find us as ChatGPT AI, change that today. Of all the things that I said, if there's one thing you can do today, do the work to add ChatGPT or AI to your drop-down forms for my B2B friends. And the reason why is because somebody filled out our form and literally selected that. I called that guy back in 5 minutes and I said, can you give me all your prompts, please? He said, sure. And I could see how he actually talked about his problem. He was looking for attribution, but he didn't know the word attribution. And I could see his actual words. And then this is his next prompt. What job title? So he went from, I don't know what this problem is, but I don't know what it's called, but I know what problem I have. Then it's what job title would solve it. Then it's like, what kind of person could do it? And then he said, hey, you know what? Is there a company that could help us? And boom, Seer was one of the answers. And he filled out my lead form. This is the second most important thing you can do. My friends, please, 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 let's start doing that kind of stuff. Now, for some of you that have really big brands you work with, I'm going to share with you something you've got to be prepared for. You got to predict when companies that have rankings that they really don't earn might lose them. So when you think of ethical gene companies, I don't think many of us in the world think of Banana Republic. It's not really what they're all about. Nudie Jeans, which is a brand that I love, they're ranked 59. Banana Republic for that keyword is ranked 8, but Nudie versus Banana Republic is like night and day. Banana Republic has a little box about sustainability on some of their jeans. They got a whole bunch of SEO crap at the bottom of their pages, which is how they're ranking today. The problem is when your customers move over to AI, whether it's Claude, ChatGPT, or Gemini 2.0, Banana Republic was never mentioned. Nudie was mentioned in all three of them. So those companies that have kind of not sold their soul to the devil of search, in an LLM and AI search world, I think they're going to have a better chance to show up. And why do they show up? Because they offer free repairs in their company, because they don't want you to buy new jeans, because that's more sustainable for our environment. They let you buy used jeans. They put them at the front of their stores to go, don't buy new jeans. We've got these ones we have washed and repaired for you. Doesn't that sound more like a company that's about sustainability and ethics than Banana Republic? Because they're screwed in this future world. They would have to literally change how they market themselves broadly in order to ever be able to show up for ethical jeans in an AI world. So now what I want to do is I want to wrap up in the next 3 or 4 minutes with this concept of we got to start optimizing for fans. So personal brands, me speaking at conferences, me doing this, they don't really help my company's visibility in LLMs, because right now it's a lot of spam, guys. I have a video on YouTube that goes through me doing step-by-step research to find out the spam that is ranking for keywords that I wish I was showing up for, and I refuse to do the work that they're doing. But the personal brands do help companies to get leads. So it's like I would rather have a personal brand that helps my company get leads than have a personal brand that helps my company show up in LLMs. Because ultimately, I want people to pass our name on as a company to their friends. So if your SEO strategy today is all about algorithms and not really about building fans, I'm not feeling that. Because ultimately, what we want are recommendations from our friends. So how many of us are optimizing for fans? Because when you have fans, it doesn't matter that the algorithm updated, because you've got like repellent to algorithmic updates. You've got repellent against dark social. You've got repellent against zero click. And it's because you've turned your traffic into actual fans of your brand. So the first thing you want to do if you want to track your fan equivalency is your homepage still getting the same amount of traffic, even though your search traffic is dropping? That's a good sign that you got fans and people know your brand. You're gonna have to take out some of the career searches. So watch for people that hit your career page, get those folks out. Direct traffic for us is up 2x. People that are directly coming into your site. Fans do that because they know your brand. Dark social won't let you see your most valuable content. And you can actually still see LinkedIn pretty well. We have over 10x our social traffic in about 18 months. By really saying, let's write great content on LinkedIn, on personal sites, not company LinkedIn profiles, because company LinkedIn profiles are dead. And now what we're starting to see is while the numbers might be low, I'm looking for each blog post that we have. Are people picking it up in the press? Do I see Microsoft Teams traffic? Somebody had a meeting about this piece of content? And is it taking off in community? Because that's how I know I'm building fans. And that's not even counting all the impressions and people that you reach across all the humans that you reach when you're on LinkedIn. I'm feeling, guys, like LinkedIn is going to be super important for your future of building fans. And many of us are not doing the work. Now, look at all those names of all those people. There's a tool called Phantom Buster that will take the names of every person that liked or commented on any one of my posts. I now have 12,156 different real humans on LinkedIn that have liked or commented on my posts. I get their profiles, which then mean I can understand more about what they're looking for. I can follow them back. I can write content towards them. There's a lot you can do when you connect that Phantom Buster data together. All right, let's wrap this thing up. So this will help you to do better outreach. Look at this, guys. When a lead form gets filled out, we look up the person's LinkedIn profile and look at all the stuff that they liked or didn't, or all the stuff they liked or commented on instantly. This is how you build a moat in B2B in the future of marketing. And as long as I continue to do this and I continue to create quality content, we've got distribution. So my friends, fans are definitely the future. That's how I see it. It's going to take a little bit of faith. It's going to take a little bit of this gray hair, right? You can't be so data driven that you have ignored your experience. Now's the time to double down on your body of experience because a lot of the data is not showing up for us anymore. Then the last thing I'll say, and you notice all the Philly references in here, go Eagles, go Birds. You're going to have to go with your gut more than you're used to. You're not going to have data for every single decision, and that's okay. Rely on your experience, rely on the data that we have left, which I just showed you to get, and it's okay to rely on your gut a little bit. So I hope all of you start tracking that data. And now I'm going to go ahead and pass it back over to Stephanie, and she can wrap this up for us.